love to just stand and smile at you, and you smile back. And that creates the energy field of the dreams we're going to build, the dreams in our individual lives, the dreams in our spiritual community, and the dreams we want to see in the world for our children, our grandchildren, our neighbors, our friends. And we have a responsibility. It's true. We are dreamers. Would you admit to being a dreamer? Okay. Oh, there's 4 not dreamers, but we'll get to you. We'll get to you. We are dreamers. We have held the energy of love and light on this planet for most of our lives. We have made connections wherever we lived with whatever job we were in, whatever part of the country. I know I've lived all over the country. Many of you have. Many of you have traveled to many places in the world. I've done some of that too. And we have the opportunity there to plant dreams, to be a dreamer, to be more than ordinary. Would you admit to being more than ordinary? This is my group. I knew it. Well, the truth is we are ordinary at some level, and at another level, we are spiritual beings living in human bodies. And when we align with that part of us that is a spiritual being, the world looks different. The world looks different. It doesn't look gray like maybe it did this morning. It doesn't look like it needs work. It looks like light. It looks like joy. So today I'm talking about when everything can go right that can go right. When everything goes right that can go right. And that's everything. It is our interpretation, would you agree? It's our interpretation of what is right and wrong. At least in our viewpoint. At least in our viewpoint. So as we go through today in our prosperity series we're starting, we're going to be doing a prosperity series for 6 weeks. What I'm asking you to do is do a little bit of shifting, experimenting. Maybe you've done a lot of this work. If not, call it an experiment. And shifting from praying for to intending to. So praying for is asking. Anyone taught to ask God to bring favor to you and leave everyone else out, just bring me favor. Well, that's what it felt like sometimes to me. You know, help me out. I'm the one. And then it's kind of an oxymoron to me sometimes. So when we are not praying for, we are intending to. So we are aligning with. Now, I spent years with a teacher who was I would call her an intention expert. And she was so clear the difference between praying or visualizing is action. That we take action on our intentions. It can be a small thing or a large thing. For me, many times it was just making a phone call. It was just walking through a door. It was just taking a small action, sometimes a big action. And the manifestation cannot occur until we take the action. I don't want to take an action. I want someone to bring it in on a cart. Well, that's what the prayer request is. Bring it in on a cart. Yeah. I don't have to do anything. Now, the spiritual work we deal with in unity is I'm involved. This is an inexhaustible surplus of supply. Have you ever put that together? The inexhaustible, I'm sure you have, you're unity students, inexhaustible substance is available. I didn't see it on the shelf. It's not on eBay or Amazon. But there is an inexhaustible substance that we can mold and that we can co-create into that which we desire. Now, that usually starts with faith. I have to believe I can do that. Anyone here a doubter? Back row, we got some doubters. Doubter. I raised my hand, I'm not pointing fingers. I got my doubts sometimes. So that sense of, I deserve, I have the ability, I have the consciousness to co-create with a universal energy that creates and molds inexhaustible supply. Are we willing? 3 people, okay. Thank you, Clay. When I am willing to use the energy of abundance, to mold it, to co-create with it, it's powerful. Many of us were taught we don't have any power. You just go get a job, you put the money in the bank, you maybe raise children, maybe you're part of some organization, but we didn't know we had power, spiritual power. Now, how do we want to use our spiritual power? To increase the joy in the world, to increase the love in the world, to increase the light in the world. And we want to decrease the fear. So decreasing fear means we face the fear. A lot of the times we put it behind our back. We don't want to even acknowledge we're afraid. I know I've done that in my life. I'm not afraid. Knees shaking. So fear is captivating. Fear freezes us, closes us down for being able to act on that intention. What was the word? Act on that intention. Now, what happens when a community acts on an intention? Oh, the power. Inexhaustible supply. The question is, do you believe in an inexhaustible supply? That's a good question, isn't it? And there may be times in our lives where we say yes, and sometimes we might say, well, maybe. So the energy of abundance is the ability to use that energy, to mold that energy, to share that energy. Charles Fillmore said, the thoughts and words that we use are planting seeds in our consciousness. So every time we say, that's not going to work out, I don't like that, I'm afraid. Every time we do that, we plant seeds. And when you plant seeds, what happens? Thank you, Ginny. They grow, and we water them, and we put attention on them, and then they spread. And then what have we got? Weeds. We're standing in the weeds. That's it. I love a good audience. I have to admit it. So then that feeling of standing in the weeds is the opportunity to say, is this where I want to be? We always have the opportunity to change and to move out of the weeds. Edwin Gaines talks, my hero, spiritual abundance teacher, always talks about planting seeds of joy, planting seeds of light, planting seeds of abundance, planting seeds of whatever it is you desire. That's what you think about. That's what you formulate on. That's where you put your attention. Now, our attention is pulled. We live in a world that is so visual and so dynamic that our attention gets pulled in a zillion different ways. Would you agree with that? Oh my gosh. Over here, up there, down there, around there. Whew, it's exhausting. It can be. So then it's our opportunity. We come back to the teaching of abundance. There's more than enough. I'm more than enough. And that which I desire, I can co-create with the universe. That which I desire, I can co-create with the universe. I read this little comment about the Chinese years and maybe thousands of years ago, whenever, they were growing potatoes. And they were growing big, luscious, beautiful potatoes, and they loved them. It was abundance. And to reseed their land, they put in the smallest ones in the lot that they harvested. And they did that over and over and over again, and they ended up years and years later with potatoes the size of a marble. So what they gave out, what they seeded was small. What they kept was big. So we have to be aware of what we keep and seed is developing, is growing, is changing. Now, some of us may say, I'm too old to change, Victoria, or I've been doing this for years, or this is my situation, this is my situation. We live in an abundant universe. Please say that with me. We live in an abundant universe. Now we're getting ready to start in 2 weeks, effortless prosperity. Now, some of you may say, well, I don't believe in that. You have to work hard. Anyone who? You don't need to raise your hand. Effortless Prosperity is written by Bijan. I've met him several times. I worked with him at the Unity Ministry in Lake Oswego. He came and did 3 or 4 workshops, and he's teaching effortless prosperity. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean I can stay home and watch TV and not do any work? Effortless prosperity is not about being involved. It's about changing your mindset and knowing that you are molding, you are creating that which comes to you. And you are responsible. This is big. You are responsible for that which you draw to you. Whew. So am I willing to draw to me effortlessly that which I desire? By setting an intention, that doesn't mean I don't take any action, but I do it in alignment. Here's the best word, I think, in alignment with the divine energy. Now, we're going to be studying this. This has 30 days. We're going to start the first week of June. We're going to do this together. 30 days of affirmations and prosperity, of allowing us to believe in the energy that flows to us, through us, as us. It doesn't stop with us. Prosperity isn't supposed to stop with us. It's supposed to move through us. I'm not the keeper. I share. This is about how do I share the prosperity consciousness. Now remember, prosperity is not just about money. It's about health. It's about wisdom. It's about friendships. It's about your lifestyle. It has to do with everything. It's a full circle plate. It's a full meal deal. It's a full meal deal. And when we look at effortless prosperity, what's the question? What is the question? How could prosperity be effortless. It seems diametrically opposed to what we've been taught. Would any of you feel that way? Or are you all effortlessly prosperous already? Let's talk about it. So Bijan had several experiences in his life where he didn't have enough. He's actually a bodybuilder, trainer, and he goes on to do some work in television and all kinds of things. And his life just keeps dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. He came across the Course in Miracles. Many of you were involved in Course in Miracles. And he believes he received guidance from guides. Now, you may or may not agree with that. I call it my inner knowing. I call it my intuition. I don't call it a guide. Whatever you call it, please don't let that interfere with the good work that's in this book. So you will be able to purchase the book. We'll be doing it on Sundays, and we'll be talking about the consciousness, how we expand our consciousness of effortless prosperity. And it's all about being able to share it. It's not about being able to just hold it or keep it. It's about how do I share it, and how do I share this wisdom that is so needed in our world today. Would you agree with that? I hope so. So I have a little story to tell you. Years ago, when I had a ministry in downtown Lake Oswego, Diane remembers that, and so does, okay, there she is, Kay and Clay. We were in a big building that had been a Caldwell Banker building, real estate building, and we remodeled it. It is now the city of Lake Oswego's city hall. It's right in that place. It's been demolished and rebuilt. We had very little room for kids, and we had a bookstore. We had in one big room and then two little offices. Now we started having families come, and more families, and we didn't have room for them. And they were meeting in the kitchen, they were meeting in my office, they were meeting in the bookstore, they were everywhere. Now, isn't that something you'd pray for? Wasn't that a good thing? Except we had no place to put them. And it was getting a little awkward as they were running through the service to the next room. So, okay, we need to work on this. And of course, that meant expansion in every way, not just for our youth, but for everyone. So we began to talk about it, and the board talked about it, and the whole situation around how do we handle this? So we decided to have a community gathering, a little bit like we're going to have today. And we had a facilitator, and we had the big white sheets of paper, and people got into groups, and they wrote things down. And then we had lunch, and we came back. There were about 50 people. The room was pretty full. And then at the end, we were asked for one word. And different people said, had ideas. And the reason we had come together is because the board had decided, we had been told, we could rent just a block away 4 rooms for our youth ed for $10,000 a year. The challenge was we didn't have $10,000. That was just the small part. So we had come together to see how we could raise the money or have ideas, so we'd had a great discussion and had lunch and came back, and the facilitator asked everyone to give a word. And so people were putting up words, and she was writing them, and I was the last one to give a word, and mine was effortless. And then a man stood up, Bill, over there, and said, I don't like that word. Okay. And everyone looked at Bill. He said, I really don't like that word. I think we have to work hard. I just don't like that idea. Okay, Bill. And the facilitator said, so what do you think we should do about that? He said, I think we should take that word down. So everyone looked at Victoria. I said, okay, we'll take the word down. Now, we had a prayer. The meeting was over. Several people came over to me. Are you sure? Was that okay? I said, it seemed like the right thing to do at the moment. Now, the next morning was Sunday. We were all gathered together. We had kids everywhere. There was a little tiny bit of tension because effortless was no longer in our category, our language. And after the service, this wonderful woman, Mary Hayes, her husband was an astronaut. There's a whole story about her. Wonderful woman came up and said, Victoria, I've been thinking about this all week, and I was going to give you this check. But now I think it has a little more importance. It was $10,000. Did you hear that? $10,000. Now, guess who was standing in the bookstore? Mr. Bill. Now, I had this wasn't an ego. I was just like, I said, Bill, it works. And he looked at me and I said, I just received $10,000 for our ministry. Well, he didn't know what to say. So effortless prosperity, we never know who, what, when, where it will be drawn to us. That is the beauty of it. That is the miracle of it, if we want to call it that. That is the surprise of it, that it is coming in a way we never would have guessed. That is the gift of it. That is the joy of that. That is the light of that. Now, I know probably some of you have received effortless prosperity in big pieces and little pieces, and in amazing ways. As I said, prosperity is not just about money. It's about healing. It's about the way you look at life. It's about, being in the flow, being at one with all of life. So we're going to go into meditation. I'm going to ask if you have anything in your lap, you want to set it aside. Sometimes it's easier if we close our eyes, wiggle around in the chair. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Let the doubter go. In your own way, just shift your breath a little bit. Slow down that breathing. Quiet your mind. I'm in a safe place. I am in a holy place. There is something in my life calling me, whispering to me for change, expanding my views, my ideas, my consciousness. ask you to join me within yourself with this affirmation. I am prosperous beyond my wildest dreams. I am aligned with the divine. And in this moment, if you are ready to plant seeds, seeds of comfort, joy, financial abundance, healing, plant those seeds. As we sit in the silence, plant your seeds. We walk into the world with new seeds of consciousness, growing and flourishing, prospering us in every area of our lives, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And so it is. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you.